Hey, so I just watched Batman Cape Crusader and I just thought I'd give my brief opinions on it. So this is honestly something I didn't expect coming out of Warner Brothers just because of the fact that there's so many properties that they make or that were in the works that they either shut down or finished and then shut down. Batwoman comes to mind. The Batman Beyond movie that was pitched but then was shut down comes to mind. Under the new umbrella of J.J. Abrams as CEO of DC, I was kind of not sure where they were going to go and like what direction. J.J. Abrams has had a lot of good stuff. Peacemaker was really good. Suicide Squad was really good. So there was some amount of confidence, but just based on new projects that were coming in, I wasn't really entirely sure. A lot of the more recent Batman, DC animated properties, they're hit and miss. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. I think the Tomorrowverse is kind of more miss than it is hit in terms of the animated movies that have been coming out of that. Harley Quinn is obviously really good, and then of course I haven't seen the new Kite Man show, but I've heard it's okay. But Batman Cape Crusader coming out on Amazon, I thought was really interesting and interesting in a good way, because they're diversifying their portfolio. They're able to reach out to these other streaming platforms that other people probably have access to and probably don't have access to Max, where a lot of these shows are coming out, and are able to really like diversify and get more people interested in these intellectual properties. So, getting into my thoughts on Batman Cape Crusader proper, I thought it was a really good show. I actually really enjoyed it. In terms of the voice cast, the voice acting is really great. The cast is amazing. Hamish Linklater as Batman Bruce Wayne, honestly, way better than I ever would have thought is possible. His voice just really makes sense with the character. I thought it was really funny that Daedric Bader, who plays Harvey Dent in the show, is here because he is also famous for playing Batman in Batman the Brave and the Bold. So I thought that was really funny that they had another actor that has played Batman in this TV show. Really, a lot of great actors and actresses that show up. John DiMaggio as Bullock, Jamie Chung as Harley Quinn. I remember her most as Chi Chi from Dragon Ball Evolution. We also had Minnie Driver as Oswalda Cobblepot, and Christina Ricci as Selena Kyle. So really, really great diversified cast of just really talented people really showing their stuff in this show. I also really liked the character designs, especially for Batman. It's really, really well done. It really looks like somebody just made a costume. I especially love the gloves, the cowl. I love everything about it. It looked really cool, especially in motion and during the action scenes, and it also comes off really intimidating. I also liked a lot of the villain designs. I like that they went classic style with Selena Kyle Catwoman. I loved Clayface's design. Clayface's design sticks out to me the most as probably being the most interesting, because it's very anti, it's very much the opposite of how we view Clayface now in popular culture, where he's like this big hulking monster that is basically a polymorph, and he can do all this shit where he, transforms his, arm into a switchblade and just like all this other stuff, maces, hammers, all this stuff. This version of Clayface is very not that. He's very just like much like a normal guy. Can just change his face, with some work and some effort. By the way, I'm also going to be getting into spoilers. I haven't really spoiled anything yet, but there will be some things that I spoil. And so I just want to go ahead and just say that now. Basically, if you get to this point in the video, my opinion on the show is that it's really good. You should check it out. Moving on. One of the big things that I thought was really cool going into the show was the setup for Harvey Dent to become Two-Face. I thought that was handled really well. I really liked getting to see the relationship between he and Bruce Wayne, the establishment that they're friends and that they hang out all the time. I like getting to know that Harvey Dent, even though he can be a little slimy at times when it comes to whatever he does, as the way Batman puts it, Harvey puts his thumb on the scale every once in a while, but he really does care about justice. I really liked just all the setup leading into this season. It's basically a season talking about Batman, building Batman up, but then in the background you have Harvey Dent going through the motions and falling more and more into the corruption with the basically the main antagonist, Rupert Thorne, and eventually evolving into the character of Two-Face. But it's done in such a way where you actually feel bad for him. You actually feel bad that he became what he became, because even though he wasn't the best of guys, he didn't really deserve the treatment that he got. It actually kind of reminds me of what doesn't work about The Dark Knight, because I think about the Dark Knight movie with Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face, and that movie does a really good job and it works within that movie. But at the end of that movie, Two-Face dies and he's still just like this screwed up bad guy, and it's a little hollow. It's tragic, but it does leave a bitter taste in your mouth. With this, in this show, when Two-Face dies, he goes out kind of like a hero. All the people that he'd killed up to that point were bad guys. He didn't really intentionally hurt people that were innocent, so to speak. And then he died saving Barbara Gordon, and I thought that was really it was a good mix of tragedy and optimism, because it showed that somebody as far gone as Harvey Dent in that moment could still come back and fight back and stand against the tide. It was really cool. It was really inspirational. I really liked it. One of the other big things that I thought was really cool is that tying into the themes surrounding Harvey Dent Two-Face was a lot of the themes surrounding Batman, and just how there's this clawing for some semblance of humanity with Batman. Like, Batman is at a point in his career where he's so psychotically driven to be Batman and to focus on his crusade against crime in Gotham that it basically is all consuming. And it makes it to where like he doesn't have very good relationships with people. It makes it to where like he's very isolated and alone. And I think you see that the most with you see that the most with Alfred Pennyworth, because in most iterations, this is the one guy that Bruce Wayne can be somewhat vulnerable around, and yet he doesn't let his guard down even around Pennyworth, and he in fact only refers to him as Pennyworth. He won't even call him by his first name, which is really jarring at first, but it really just goes to show how deep in this Batman is, because there's even a scene where when he's 10-year-old Bruce Wayne, right after his parents died, he almost like a serial killer breaks into Alfred's room and is like, you're gonna help me take vengeance on all of them. It's just like going crazy, and it's like, oh my god, dude, calm down. But then as an adult, it's one of those things where like their relationship is easily, in my opinion, next to the stuff going on with Two-Face, is the heart of the show, because their back and forths are really good. They have this interesting relationship where it's like an up and down. It's up and down, because sometimes there's a barrier between them that can't quite be broken. And I really like how some episodes they kind of get under each other's skin. Like some episodes, Pennyworth is right about something and Batman is wrong, but Batman won't admit it. Or Batman is right about something, but Pennyworth won't admit to it. And by the end of the show, with Harvey Dent dying and Batman kind of looking at it and saying to himself, I lost a really good friend that I didn't even realize I had pushed over the edge. And I don't want to do that again. I don't want to feel alone. I want to be able to fight this fight that I fight with people that I care about and people that I can trust. And then at the end of the episode, at the end of the interaction that they have at the end of the episode, Batman finally starts calling Pennyworth Alfred, and it's a really sweet moment. And you also kind of understand that Batman has developed this relationship, this kind of camaraderie with the other characters like Barbara Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, and Renee Montoya. And those are all great characters, and they all have I mean, honestly, like I love every single one of the characters. There's not really like a bad character. And if I were to say that there was like one thing about the show that I just did not care for, did not do it for me, and it's the most pissant, whiny, bullshit to complain about, and this is major spoilers, So beware. But I really did not care for the fact that at the very end, right before the credits rolled, there was a scene that basically revealed the Joker, and the Joker is going to be making a appearance probably in season 2, and I did not care for that. I am man, I am just so sick and tired of the Joker in Batman media, in media in general, in pop culture, like comics. It's fine, it's whatever, and I get that the Joker is the arch nemesis of Batman. You cannot have Batman without Joker in so many instances, so many variations. It's just the case. But I mean, come on, like we just had the Matt Reeves, the Batman, that had teased Joker at the end of that movie. We're getting a sequel to the Joker movie this year, so it already feels like we're just getting a lot of Joker right now. Like we don't need it. There's Joker in Multiversus. Like we just don't need it. I just don't think we need it. I think that you should be able to tell a Batman story without the need to include the Joker, and they did that here in season 1. They did that. They focused on all these other bad guys, all these other criminals. Had Harvey Dent be like the main comic book villain. Rupert Thorne is kind of like the guy immediately after that. You can do other villains. You could have brought Clayface back as like a main bad guy. You could have done Hugo Strange. You could have done all these other bad guys, and yet once again they're going with the Joker, which I just found it just didn't really do it for me. And it's even funnier because I thought that they were going to avoid bringing him on altogether, because I think it was like episode 3. Yeah, it was like in episode 3 that they introduced Harley Quinn as like her own separate character altogether. And I was like, wow, it works so well within the context of the show. She's her own character. She's got her own development. She's got her own motivations, and it just works. It works within the context of the show. So the fact that they, at the very end of the season, were like, "Oh, we're bringing in Joker," just didn't really do it for me. But I mean, out of the entire show, that being like my only complaint, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'd still probably rank the show really, really high. I mean, like I said, this is like A+ material. But that being said, I think I'm looking forward to season 2. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.